Hi, my name is Sharon McDougle, and today I'm volunteering with the Boys and Girls Club. I will be reading the book Nyrah's Bully by Annette Smith and illustrated by Chris Dudley. Nyrah sat up in her bed. She stared out the window and watched the sun play hide and seek. In and out it went, between the clouds as it rose. She sat with her tiny chin cupped in her hands, her bony elbows dug into the top of her tiny legs. Today was the first day of first grade. Nyrah wasn't too worried. She knew many of her kindergarten classmates would be in her first grade class. Suddenly, her thoughts were interrupted by her mother calling her name. Nyrah, it's time to get up. I'm up, Mama, yelled Nyrah. There she is, getting ready to go to school. She had a unique imagination. She tried to make out the different shapes the clouds formed. She thought one of the clouds looked like a city. I'm going to name it Cloudville, Nyrah said to herself. Immediately she realized she had not gotten dressed. Her clothes were lying on the chair next to her bed. She had put them all together the night before, after she took a bath. She and her family had gone shopping for school clothes, supplies, and backpacks the week before, like they love to do every year. There's all of her clothes and her school bag ready to go. The only thing left to do was eat, brush her teeth, and get dressed. Her hair had already been braided and hung to her shoulders with multicolored beads. Nyrah realized she wanted to be the first one in the bathroom and raced down the hallway. But her brother and sisters were already downstairs eating breakfast. She had spent too much time daydreaming and watching the clouds play hide and seek in Cloudville. So she quickly finished what she needed to do. Afterward, she jumped down the stairs 2 steps at a time and made her way to the kitchen. Hurry, Nyrah, hurry. Hurry, my little sugar cubes, her mom said wittingly. That was her pet name for the kids. The bus will be here soon, she reminded them. Nyrah sat down and managed to eat a few bites of cereal and strawberry toast and drink a glass of orange juice. She heard the sound of the bus from a distance. She, along with her brother and sisters, raced upstairs, grabbed their backpacks, and ran to the bus stop just in time to see it barreling down the road. There she is having breakfast. Suddenly, a girl who looked about 6 years older than Nyrah darted across the street and jumped in front of her big sister, Rain. Nyrah frowned but didn't say anything. The girl was new in the neighborhood. She had moved in over the summer, and the kids never saw her until now. Nyrah wanted to know who she was. She tapped her on the shoulder and politely asked, "What's your name?" "Puddin'-Tane," the girl responded smartly. "Ask me again and I'll tell you the same." She stuck her tongue out and laughed. Rain spoke up. "That's not your name." "Yes, it is," the new girl shouted. There they are, waiting at the bus stop in the neighborhood. By that time, the bus had gotten to where they were and was coming to a screeching halt. The new girl's backpack was on the ground. Nyrah picked it up for her, but the new girl snatched it and put it on her back. Her name tag was dangling from the strap. "Brooklyn," Nyrah said out loud. Brooklyn whirled around. "That's Brooke," she demanded. Brooke stormed up the stairs and ran to the back of the bus. The sign on the step said "No running," but she paid no attention to it. The bus driver eyed her in the mirror. Nyrah and Rain decided to sit midway of the bus. They didn't want to deal with moody Brooke. Their baby sister, Lundy, who was just starting kindergarten, sat across from them. Their brother, Myron, went to the back of the bus with Brooke. There they are, getting on the bus. The bus ride wasn't long, but too far to walk. Once the bus driver pulled up to the school, Brooke made a beeline for the door. "No running," the bus driver reminded her. "What is your name, little girl?" Brooke showed her the name tag. The bus driver continued, "All right, Brooklyn. Didn't you see my sign? No running on the bus. Each child is to leave from front to back." Just then there was a burst of laughter. It was Nyrah and Rain. Brooke was furious. She didn't realize the girls were laughing at someone on the playground. She balled up her fist at them and stormed off the bus. The bus driver just shook her head and motioned for the rest of the children to leave the bus. Lundy got off the bus first, then Nyrah and Rain got off next and waited for Myron. Then they walked into the school and went their separate ways. Here they are on the bus, with Brooke being very mad and balling her fists and shaking it at the other girls. The school was so big, it looked like a maze for a mouse with one hallway after another. Nyrah and Rain tried to count the doors, but there were too many. Rain realized Nyrah was a bit hesitant, so she walked her sister to her classroom and went to her own. Nyrah's teacher was sitting at the table welcoming other students. Nyrah stood in the middle of the classroom with her arms folded and her head down. The teacher put her arms around her, said a few comforting words, and showed her where she would be sitting. When it was time for lunch, her class lined up outside the large lunchroom. Another classroom was coming out. It was a 5th grade class. One special rule the school had was when passing another student, they must smile and nod and quietly say a greeting. Brooke was in that 5th grade line. She passed by Nyrah, but instead of a nice greeting, she threw up her fist again. Nyrah continued to smile. She heard her mother's voice in her head saying, "Kill him with kindness." Nyrah quickly forgot what Brooke did as she sat and enjoyed lunch with her classmates. There we go. Days and weeks went by. Brooke stayed in trouble all the time in the bus, in the neighborhood, and at school. Plus, she really had it in for Nyrah and Rain. Despite their efforts to be nice to her, Brooke continued to be mean to them. They talked to their parents, who helped them do research on bullying and how to handle bullies. Don't react, they read. Walk away, involve your parents, get help, and don't be afraid to tell. Their parents read many other ways to beat a bully, and that made Nyrah and Rain feel better. They used some of them on Brooke. At first, they thought it was working because she had suddenly become nice to them, but Brooke had mischievousness up her sleeve. One day, she pretended to be sick and asked to go to the nurse's office to lie down. The teacher gave her a pass to leave, but she didn't go to see the nurse. Instead, she started walking up and down the hallways. Meanwhile, Nyrah asked to go to the bathroom, not knowing her bully was in the hallway. As she closed the door to the room, Brooke and Nyrah caught sight of each other. Suddenly, Nyrah felt a release of butterflies in her stomach. Something wasn't right. "Brooke, what are you doing here?" Nyrah asked. Brooke motioned for Nyrah to come here. "Can I talk to you?" she asked. "It'll only take a minute." They went into a small room, but instead of talking, Brooke started pushing and hitting Nyrah, trying to make her fight back. Nyrah tried to call for help, but was overcome by the strength of Brooke. The janitor happened to walk by and heard the commotion. He opened the door and saw Nyrah pinned to the floor. Brooke was punching Nyrah repeatedly with her fist. He quickly pulled the two girls apart. Sadly, Nyrah was hurt pretty badly. Tears streamed down her badly injured face. "That's what you get for laughing at me," Brooke said with hate and anger. What? Nyrah managed to say. "On the bus that day," Brooke reminded her. Nyrah cried out, "We weren't laughing at you. We were laughing at a goofy boy on the playground." Brooke was shocked. She couldn't believe what she'd just heard. Instead of asking the girls what they were laughing at, she had assumed it was at her and had made up in her mind to get even. That's all she knew how to do, get even. She had been bullied too. For the second time in her young life, she felt awful. It was too late. Brooke was taken away, and Nyrah had to be taken to the hospital to get her injuries treated. Nyrah didn't want to go back to school, so her mama homeschooled her, as well as her brother and sisters, for the rest of the school year. She got counseling and lots of attention from her family and friends. Eventually, her injuries went away, and she later began to feel much better. Brooke went to an alternative school and was placed into a class to learn about bullying. One of the things she had to do was write an apology letter to Nyrah, Rain, and her parents. That was hard for her to do. She had been a bully for so long, she didn't know how to say, "I'm sorry." After much counseling from a lady named Mrs. Annie, she finally made a card and wrote them a letter. "Mrs. Annie, I want to give this card and a letter to Nyrah, Rain, and her family personally," Brooke said. Mrs. Annie agreed and got permission from her parents to take Brooke to Nyrah's house. "This can be part of your treatment, Brooklyn," said Mrs. Annie. She also called Nyrah's parents to get the okay to come over. They agreed. A lot of time had gone by and Brooke didn't know how Nyrah felt about her. A week later, Brooke found herself standing on Nyrah's long country front porch. Her finger was frozen in front of the doorbell. She couldn't make herself press it. The front door was opened and she could hear laughter inside. Just as Brooke got the courage to ring the doorbell, Nyrah appeared at the door. Their eyes locked. It seemed like forever to Brooke. Slowly, Nyrah smiled. "Mama," Nyrah called out, "Brooke is here." Nyrah invited them in. The house had been decorated for a pool party. "Sit down, Brooke," Nyrah suggested. Lundy walked in and sat on the arm of the couch. Nyrah's mama and the counselor talked for a minute. Then the counselor told her Brooke had a card and a letter for them. They read the card and decided to read the letters later on. The card itself said a lot. "Nyrah, I'm so sorry for what I did to you. You didn't deserve to be bullied. It's all I knew how to do, but not anymore. You were reading the letter how I've been bullied all my life. I've learned my lesson and now I speak to other children about bullying, how not to become one, and how to beat a bully without fighting. Maybe you can come one day and help me with your parents, of course." Nyrah looked at her parents with pleading eyes. She wanted to help children too, so they happily agreed. "Can I show you something in my room, Brooke?" Nyrah asked. "Sure," Brooke exclaimed. The girls went upstairs to Nyrah's room. Lundy stayed downstairs. Nyrah and Rain showed Brooke a video on beating a bully without fighting. "Wow," Brooke shouted. "I learned more from this video than my entire bullying class." "There's more where that came from," Nyrah said, laughing. Brooke begged to see more once she finished her bullying class and went home. "I know my parents won't mind," Rain said. Brooke wondered if this meant that Nyrah and Rain had forgiven her. "Can I show this to my counselor?" "Sure," Rain responded. The counselor enjoyed the video and asked if it could be shown to other children she was working with. "We will see how that can be arranged," the children's dad said. More children began to arrive. Brooke wanted to stay, but she had to go back to school. As they stood to leave, Nyrah shouted, "Wait, Mama, will you come to the kitchen? Let's give Brooke a cupcake and a goodie bag. I have a letter for her too. I'll put it in the bag." "You can't write letters yet, my little sugar cube," her mama laughed. Nyrah smiled as she put the letter inside the goodie bag. They went back to where the others were. Brooke and her counselor said their goodbyes and headed back to school. Brooke was still wondering if Nyrah and Rain had forgiven her. She ate her cupcake while gazing at the clouds. One of them looked as if it was pointing at her bag. She decided to open it. Inside was a folded letter. On the outside was a hand-drawn smiling face with flowers all around it. Brooke opened the letter and in big, bold, colorful letters it said, "We forgive you." Brooke leaned her head against the window. She smiled all the way back to her school. Don't be a bully, be a friend. And here are some bullying facts. Is this you? You get into physical or verbal fights. You have friends who bully others. You're increasingly aggressive. You get sent to the principal's office or to detention frequently. You have unexplained extra money or new belongings. You blame others for their problems. You don't accept responsibility for your actions. Are competitive and worry about your reputation or popularity. Signs from people that are being bullied: unexplainable injuries, lost or destroyed clothing, books, electronics, or jewelry, frequent headaches or stomach aches, feeling sick or faking illness, changes in eating habits like suddenly skipping meals or binge eating. Kids may come home from school hungry because they did not eat lunch, difficulty sleeping or frequent nightmares, declining grades, loss of interest in schoolwork or don't want to go to school, sudden loss of friends or avoidance of social situations, feelings of helplessness or decreased self-esteem, self-destructive behaviors such as running away from home, harming themselves, or talking about suicide. Together, we can all stop bullying. So if you're having any problems with being bullied or see someone being bullied, speak up, say something. Go to an adult, a teacher. Just say something. This story is inspired by a true story. The author is a friend of mine, and I wanted to make sure I read this because I thought it was very important for all children to hear. And so, to the bullies who may read this book, or who's listening to this story now, please seek help and counseling. Perhaps you were bullied too, and feel it's the only way to release your pain. Maybe you think it's cool to have someone fear you, but it's not. It leads to being an unwanted friend. You don't want that, do you? Parents, please take bullying seriously. Make sure your kids understand that you will not tolerate bullying at home, at school, or anywhere else. Teach kids to treat others with respect and kindness. Learn about your child's social life. Encourage good behavior. And set a good example. And that is Nyrah's bullying, which turned out to be Nyrah's friend in the end. You notice how the bullies crossed out. So that's Nyrah's Bully, written by Annette Bentley Smith and illustrated by Chris Dudley. Have a great day.